Community Resilience and Social Media, Remote and Rural First Nations Communities, Social Isolation and Cultural Preservation, Part 2. Many First Nation communities in Canada are experiencing significant challenges due to government policies, including more than 100 years of residential schools and the continued existence of the Indian Act. As one survivor of residential school writes, resilience is not a new concept to Aboriginal peoples. It's an ancient principle in our philosophy of life. To persevere, to stand strong, to never give up hope. A culture's worldview is a lens through which they learn how to nurture, protect, and dream for future generations. Researchers recognize that resilience is more than an individual attribute. It is clustered, occurring in groups of people in a web of meaningful relationships. Three important components of resilience in First Nations are social capital, sharing stories, and networking. Social capital can be understood as the various resources within a community that need to circulate between many different groups, such as women, men, grandparents, youth, and children. These resources provide a form of resistance against the stereotypes of Aboriginal people portrayed in the mainstream media and serve as a means to protect Indigenous identity. Very little research has been conducted on how community members in rural and remote First Nations in Canada are using the Internet. There have been a handful of studies, in particular research by Bell, Budka, and Fisher is very similar to this current study in that it is also based on online surveys of residents of remote and rural communities in Northwest Ontario. Community resilience could result from rural and remote First Nations community members using the Internet and social networking sites for communication and cultural preservation. One dimension of community resilience for First Nations is a connection to the land, including participation in land-based activities and eating traditional food. If community members discuss these activities on social network sites, the information exchange could strengthen cultural preservation and enhance community resilience. While using online tools to preserve culture can lead to challenges, such as English and French television programming overshadowing First Nations languages, these tools can also be used to preserve and disseminate culture. Another potential challenge related to Internet use is social isolation. According to the isolationist view, active users of the Internet spend more time online and less time spent communicating with others in person, and as a result become less involved in their communities. However, current research shows that online communication can act as a way to enhance existing in-person communication, and that digital tools can allow people multiple ways to stay connected while allowing for multitasking. Within the Canadian context, there is perhaps a very compelling argument as to why being online could foster greater social capital. According to Veenhoff and colleagues, particularly in Canada, long, cold winters encouraged Canadians to stay home and watch television, listen to the radio, and read. Thus, the advent of the Internet is breeding a more social era, with active communication and information-seeking activities compared to the more passive traditional forms of entertainment, such as television use. This review of literature raises a range of questions pertinent to our study related to social media use in the communities in the region and potential links with cultural resilience and social isolation. To explore these questions, we conducted an analysis of an online survey of people living in communities in this area in order to understand the frequency and extent of the use of social media, communicating with others in the region, as well as travel. Our analysis also explores implication of this networking for community resilience.